A man tied himself to his own ship, not by force. He gave the order himself. But get this, he was not afraid. He wanted to hear the thing that kills everyone who hears it. His crew blocked their ears completely. They heard nothing. They survived and forgot. Odysseus heard everything, and the version of him that walked away from that mast was never quite the same man who got tied to it. Look at the man tied to the mast. His crew rowing below him have wax pressed into their ears. They hear nothing. They see nothing but the water in front of their oars. They will pass this island and remember it as a stretch of coastline they crossed on the way home. He will not have that mercy. His arms are bound behind the wood. His body is straining forward, not away. His mouth is open, and his eyes, if you look at them for more than a second, are not the eyes of a man in danger. They are the eyes of a man getting exactly what he asked for. According to the Odyssey, Odysseus's crew had already blocked their ears to protect themselves from the sirens singing. But Odysseus, wanting to hear the sirens, had ordered his crew to tie him to the mast so that he may have the pleasure of listening without risking himself or his ship. Read that again. The pleasure of listening. He was warned. Circe told him exactly what waited on that island creatures whose song destroyed every sailor who heard it. The oracle had confirmed it. Anyone who passed without heeding their song would perish. This was not a mystery. This was not an accident. Odysseus knew precisely what the sirens were capable of, and he did not choose to avoid them. He chose to be restrained in front of them. His crew took the simple option: block the sound entirely, feel nothing, remember nothing. Odysseus took the harder option. He wanted to know what the sound actually was. He wanted to feel its full weight, and he built himself a cage strong enough that wanting it would not be enough to destroy him. For nearly 2,000 years, artists painted the sirens as beautiful women, sometimes with fish tails, sometimes fully human, always something a viewer would want to look at. Waterhouse broke that tradition completely. His sirens have the bodies of birds, not seductive women luring a man with beauty. Predators, claws instead of hands, wings instead of grace. He borrowed the image from a 5th century BC Greek vase in the British Museum, going back past centuries of romanticized retellings to the original, uglier version of the myth. Critics at the 1891 Royal Academy exhibition were divided. Some praised him for returning to authentic classical sources. Others complained that he had abandoned the beauty of the legend entirely, that his sirens were, frankly, disturbing to look at. That reaction is the point. Because Waterhouse was not painting temptation as something beautiful. He was painting it as something monstrous that only sounds beautiful. The danger was never in what the sirens looked like. It was in what they promised and what they took from every sailor who believed the promise was worth the risk. Every retelling of this story treats Odysseus's choice as clever, heroic even. He wanted to hear the unhearable, and he found a way to survive it. Most versions end there as a triumph of intelligence over temptation. But look at the painting again. Waterhouse did not paint a triumphant man. He painted a man leaning so far into his restraints that the ropes are the only thing between him and the water. His face is not calm. It is not victorious. It is a man in the exact center of the thing that could destroy him, straining every muscle toward it, held back by wood and rope alone. Homer never describes in detail what happened to Odysseus after the ship passed the island. The text moves on. The adventure continues. But something about a man who begged his own crew never to release him, no matter what he said, no matter how he screamed, suggests he did not walk away from that mast unchanged. He survived the sirens. Whether he survived hearing them is a different question entirely. The island itself tells you what usually happens. Every version of this myth includes the same detail. The shore around the Sirens is littered with the remains of sailors who heard the song and could not resist it. Men who steered their ships directly into the rocks. Men who leapt overboard rather than continue sailing away. They did not fail because they were weak. They failed because the song was designed to override the part of a person that makes decisions. It did not offer temptation you could reason your way out of. It offered something that made reasoning irrelevant. Odysseus understood this better than any sailor who came before him. He did not trust his own judgment to hold once he heard it. That is why he did not simply tell himself he would resist. He built a physical structure that would resist for him, because he knew that whatever he became in that moment would not be someone who kept promises to his former self. There is a specific kind of danger that does not announce itself as danger. It sounds like something you want. It feels, in the moment, like the most reasonable thing in the world, and by the time you recognize what it actually is, you are no longer the version of yourself capable of walking away from it. Most people respond to this the way Odysseus's crew did block it out entirely. Avoid the conversation. Avoid the situation. Never test how strong the pull might be. A smaller number respond the way Odysseus did. They do not think they are strong enough to resist it through willpower alone, so they build something stronger than willpower. A boundary. A commitment made before the moment arrives, when they can still think clearly, that will hold even after the moment convinces them to abandon it. Both approaches keep you alive. Only one of them tells you, afterward, exactly what you are. Waterhouse painted the moment before the ship clears the island, before the danger passes. The sirens are still reaching, still singing, still close enough to touch. Odysseus is still straining against the ropes. We do not know, from this frame, whether he makes it past. History tells us he does. The myth continues. He returns to Ithaca. He resumes his life. But Waterhouse did not paint the homecoming. He painted the moment of maximum want, the second, when survival and destruction are separated by nothing but a length of rope and a decision made hours earlier by a calmer version of the same man. That is the part of the story most retellings skip. The part where getting what you wanted to know and surviving it are not actually the same thing as coming out unchanged.